Hey guys, welcome to my Dispriest guide for Operation Floodgate. I will be going over both trash and boss fights as well, so let's get into it. So Dispriest is all about looking at timings, and you just want to make sure you have your ramp up for both AoEs on the first boss. By the way, when I say ramp, I mean Pet, Shadow Word Pain, Mind Blast, Radiance, Penance, and Smite spam until Penance again. You want to get your second Penance off because it'll make your Rift do more damage and explode for more. But otherwise, I will be mentioning ramp a lot in all my guides, so I just wanted to preface your basic ramp before I get into this video. Because we're lusting this boss, we will most likely skip the first kilo block barrier damage due to killing the ads pretty quickly. We got a couple ticks of the barrier in this run, but I did not want to spend my ramp early. So I held on to it, I sent my pet, and then as soon as the jumpstart began, I sent my Mind Blast, Radiance, Penance, and full ramp. Because we have CDs and Lust on pull, I held my Evangelism because the second barrier will most likely last longer since we don't have our cooldowns to kill the ads on the second round. So you can send your ramp as long as the barrier isn't coming in for at least 20 seconds. However, you should start holding your ramp if the barrier is coming up very soon. So I'm holding my ramp and then I'm sending it on this barrier here because I know it's going to last a little while. Jumpstart begins and I have my ramp going already. So I'm looking at my atonement timer, press my evangelism. Your evangelism also does a big heal, so you want to get value out of that by using it when people aren't topped so that you can extend your atonements and heal them at the same time. On this key level, the boss is already dead, but if we were to get a third round of the barrier and jumpstart, then I would send my uppies for that set. So the tricky part about this blood warper is that it sends out the warp blood too frequently. It sends it out every 20 seconds, so you probably won't have your pet up for every single one. I do not have that much haste right now on my priest, so I was global locked when I tried to send my pet and it didn't actually end up going off, so that's why I had to spend my evangelism there. But it doesn't really matter too much because you won't really need it anyway for packs in between. For the trash here, nothing is really too deadly. I just like to spam shield on my tank whenever I have it up so that I have perma atonement, and that is pretty much your only way to spot heal the tank. It is also good to shield on cooldown because you want to keep up your smite damage buff. So here I send my pet really early so that it'll come back for the second warp blood, and it seems like it's still not fast enough. So that means I will have to send my evangelism once again for the second one. Once again, this pull isn't too deadly, just make sure you have atonements up on everyone and keep them healed. If somebody does need some more spot healing, you can just send a powered shield on them, but if not, then send your powered shield on the tank. If you need to, you can always send your pain subs for backup if you see that someone's low in defensives or you don't have your full ramp going. So this is a very dangerous pull if you have melee, because all of these loader bots can channel windups, and the only way you can stop them is by hard CCing them, so using stuns. Basically, the best thing you can do here is to keep atonements on everyone and just send your ramp on cooldown. It does get a little annoying when you have to move because of the shredders, but outside of that, just keep your ramp up and people should be fine. If someone takes additional damage, you can always bot shield them, but otherwise, make sure you're shielding the tank on cooldown. The architects are really annoying because they cast a nail gun on you, and they can be dangerous if there's other damage going out. So same thing, just make sure you have your ramp going the entire time, and make sure you keep atonement on the tank. I had to shield the druid there, so I had to use flash shield to keep atonement on the tank. But basic rule of thumb, you can pretty much just send your ramp on cooldown on all the trash, and just use your shield or flash shield procs to spot heal. Depending on the comp that you're playing, you can probably skip this pull here. 2 shutters are not ideal, but once again, same pull, you just want to make sure your ramp is up all the time so that people are quickly getting topped. If you want to do the skip, you can fade through and grip one person on a 3-person mount. And the last person would either have to have their own way of getting up, or they would have to just die and get rezzed. For this boss, there's nothing really much going on. You just send your ramp on cooldown pretty much, and whoever gets the kinetic explosive gel will just need a shield and dispel. Ideally, you want to power word shield whoever gets the dot before you dispel them so that they can take less burst damage, but if you can't, it's not the end of the world, they probably won't die. If they're low from getting shot, you probably want to pain slip them before you dispel them, but otherwise it's just about keeping your ramp up so that you can have constant healing on the group. Once again, for the divers, not much to do, you're just basically DPSing with your full ramp. If you want to min-max your DPS, you can double radiance before you pendants, but I don't like to do that because I want to save 1 radiance for applying atonements. But yeah, same with these kelps, we're going to be taking AoE damage here, so make sure you always have a way to apply atonements. I just look at my radiance timer, and if I have one available, then I know that I can always send it. So this boss is a little tricky because the Awaken the Swamp comes every 20 seconds and you just won't have your ramp up for both of the Razor Choke Vines mechanic and the Awaken the Swamp. So you're basically just sending a ramp on cooldown because you're not going to have enough healing to sustain both the Vines damage and the Awaken the Swamp. And then whenever you are weak for the Awaken the Swamp, you just want to send one of your cooldowns between Evangelism, Barrier, and Uppies. So over here, I don't have my ramp, and so I'm just sending my Uppies. Because I had PI this time, my ramp came back up for the Awaken the Swamp after sending it early. This is the only tricky boss for Disc Priest in this dungeon. You pretty much just have to send your ramp on cooldown, and then if it lines up with the Awaken the Swamp, you are fine. If it doesn't line up, then you basically have to just use your defensives. For the backwash, you do want to have your ramp up. I sent my pet a lot earlier here so that I would have it up. About 3 seconds before backwash comes out, I send my Mind Blast and Radiance Penance. Still have my Evangelism up for the second round if my pet doesn't come back up, so it barely comes back up here and I just send it real quick. I still have to Evangelism to keep people alive here. You can use your double radiance for extra penance bolts, but outside of that, Bubbles is another encounter that is very hard to heal. This trash pack here isn't too deadly. You just have to dispel people on cooldown and keep your ramp going so that people are constantly being healed. When I have my ramp down, I have to just throw out some flash heals. Ideally, you don't want to do that too much, but it is good to keep your flash shield DR up at all times. So these 2 jump starters are very dangerous. You want to make sure you have your ramp going and have something to cast while you're moving, either a penance or Shadow Word Death or Evangelism, anything like that, to keep your healing up while you have to move. It is kind of tricky for Disc Priest. You want to make sure you cast your Mind Blast and Atonement in between movements so that you can have constant healing going even when you have to move. As you can see, I already have Atonements up on the whole group. I cast my Mind Blast after the first movement. I cast Shadow Word Death when we have to move. I throw out some Flash Shield procs and Power Word Shield. Basically, you just have to weave in your Mind Blast, Radiance, and Smites in between these movements. For the last boss, it is pretty simple in the beginning. You basically just send your ramp with your pet, dot, Radiance, Penance, and Smite. I sent my pet later because it wasn't up when we went in, but ideally you want to send your pet first. And then just keep your Flash Shield DR up and your Fade ready in case you get the Gigazap. The first Gigazap is a lot easier to heal because you can just send your ramp. The second one is the one that gets tricky because you either want to send it really early or you can't send it at all. So since I missed the window, turbocharge is coming in about 10 seconds. I can no longer send my ramp now because I need it up for the turbocharge. So unfortunately, I will just have to paint slip and kind of spot heal, put some Power Word shields up, and just make sure we're ready going into the turbocharge. As long as you have your ramp up for the turbocharge, you should be chilling. And the cycle repeats itself again. I just put out a second ramp. Of course, you can use your uppies as a defensive for yourself because it puts a huge shield on yourself while healing. And here I put a barrier on top of our Boomy just for the dot and spot heal him. The shaman has a defensive up, so I don't have to worry about him. I set my ramp too late here, so unfortunately I had to defensive penance the Bimkin and just health pot myself, which is fine. If you know one person is going to live without your help, then you can defensive penance the other person. And that's it. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like and subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and if you want to watch me live, I stream all of my keys on Twitch TV, it's Katza. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.